Act 8. The residence for family visits is completed, and Jia Zheng tests Baoyu. Time: the 12th year of Red Chamber in spring. Location: Provincial Farewell Residence. Character: Jia Zheng, Jia Zhen, Jia Baoyu, Lin Daiyu, several servants, and several others. Character Profile Card. Name: Jia Zheng. Gender: male. Alias: Jia Zheng. Identity: Jia Baoyu's father, a junior official in the Ministry of Works, promoted to the position of assistant prefect. Personality: honest, inexperienced in handling affairs, unproductive. Father: Jia Daosan. Mother: Granny Jia, Lady Shi. Wife: Mrs. Wang. Concubine: Miss Yao, Miss Zhou. Brother: Jia Shi. Sister-in-law: Mrs. Xing. Younger sister: Jia Min. Brother-in-law: Lin Rahai.
Oncle: Jia Daihua.
Paternal cousin: Jia Zheng. Eldest son: Jia Zhu, deceased. Eldest daughter: Jia Yuanchun. Younger son: Jia Baoyu. Concubine's son: Jia Huan. Concubine's daughter: Jia Tanchun. Nephew: Jia Lian. Niece: Jia Ingchun. Niece: Lin Daiyu. That winter, Daiyu received news that her father Lin Rahai was sick, so she returned to Yangzhou with the escort of Jia Lian. Shortly afterwards, Lin Rahai passed away, and Daiyu and Jia Lian together escorted his coffin back to Suzhou. It was around this time that the Ningrong family received an imperial edict, and Yuan Chun was to receive a promotion. Soon, the Jia family began the construction of the residence for family visits. Jia Lian, after finishing the funeral of Lin Rahai with Daiyu, immediately rushed back to the Rongbua mansion. With everyone's efforts, the residence was successfully completed after a year. That day, Jia Zhen found Jia Zheng and said, "The master has already looked over the garden on the other side, just waiting for you to see it. If there is anything inappropriate, we can make changes and then write inscriptions and couplets." Jia Zheng thought for a moment and said, "This is indeed a difficult matter. According to etiquette, I should invite the royal concubine to give a title. However, if the royal concubine is not present, it would be difficult for her to come up with a title out of thin air. But if we wait for the royal concubine to arrive before giving a title, then the beautiful scenery and pavilions will be wasted without even a name or couplet. Isn't that a waste?" Everyone agreed and decided to go to the other courtyard together to take a look. In the end, it was decided that everyone would come up with couplets and plaques for the various scenic spots and hang them up as lanterns. When the Empress arrives, she will make the final decision. On that very day, Grandmother Jia noticed that Baoyu was still mourning Qin Zhong's passing, so she sent someone to take him to the newly built garden to relax. Just as they entered the garden, they bumped into Jia Zhen, who smiled and said, "The master will be here soon." Upon hearing this, Baoyu quickly took his wet nurse and maidservant and left. Unexpectedly, as soon as they turned the corner, they saw Jia Zheng leading a group of people walking towards them. Baoyu had no time to evade and quickly stood to the side. Jia Zheng heard from Jia Dairu that although Baoyu did not like reading, he was good at writing couplets, and he had always wanted to test his talent. Just happened to meet today, so he asked him to follow him into the garden. Baoyu had no choice but to follow his father obediently back. Jia Zheng led everyone to a fake mountain and looked up to see a white stone with a reflective surface on top of the mountain, perfect for inscribing. Jia Zheng then laughed and asked everyone for suggestions. Some said layered green. Others said rolling ridge, competition with fragrant stove, small Mount Zhongnan. In fact, everyone had already guessed that Jia Zheng wanted to test his son, so they were just using cliched phrases. Baoyu naturally understood his father's intentions and said, "Ancient people said, reciting the old is better than creating the new. Carving the ancient is better than sculpting the present." This is not the main focal point of the mountain, just a passing point while exploring the scenery. Why not just inscribe curved path through a secluded valley, which is more appropriate? Everyone praised Baoyu, but Jia Zheng just laughed and said, "No need for such praise. He is young, just using one piece of knowledge to cover 10 uses." Next, the group passed through the stone cave and arrived at the pavilion on the bridge. Jia Zheng saw the beautiful scenery around him and asked, "What should we name this place?" Someone answered, Ouyang once mentioned in Record of the Drunken Pavilion that there is a pavilion with wings, so why not name it Iran? Jia Zheng said, "Although it's not bad, but since there is flowing water under the pavilion, it would be best if it's related to water." Ouyang also mentioned flowing between two peaks, so why not use the word flowing? One person quickly interjected, "Excellent. Excellent. Flowing jade is the perfect choice." Jia Zheng wanted Baoyu to say something too. Baoyu smiled and said, "What my father just said was already very good." But upon further consideration, in the past when Ouyang inscribed the Nyang spring with the character flowing, it was appropriate. However, using flowing for the spring now seems a bit inappropriate. This is the palace where the royal concubine lived, and the character flowing might be inappropriate. It would be better to be more subtle. Jia Zheng laughed and said, "Earlier you said, why not describe the ancient? But now that we are describing the ancient, you find it inappropriate. So, what do you think is a good inscription?" Baoyu replied, "How about using the words flowers with water? Wouldn't that be both new and elegant?" Jia Zheng listened and nodded in satisfaction, rubbing his beard without saying a word. Everyone praised Baoyu's extraordinary talent. Jia Zheng then said, "The two characters on the plaque are already good. Why don't you also write a 7-word couplet?" Baoyu looked around and immediately recited, "The willows around the embankment borrow 3 green poles. The flowers across the bank share a breath of fragrance." Jia Zheng was very pleased. After leaving the stone cave, they passed through several houses surrounded by emerald bamboo and flowing water. Jia Zheng said, "This place is not bad. It would be a waste not to spend a lifetime reading here on a moonlit night." After saying that, he turned to look at Baoyu, who felt nervous and quickly lowered his head. At that moment, someone spoke up, "This place should have a title of 4 characters." Jia Zheng asked, "What 4 characters?" Someone answered, "The lingering charm of the Qi River." Another person suggested, "The elegant traces of the Sui Garden." Jia Zheng proposed, "How about letting Bao brother come up with one?" Jia Zheng asked him, "Can you come up with something based on what everyone said earlier?" Baoyu replied, "It seems none of them are quite suitable." Jia Zheng coldly laughed, "Why are they not suitable?" Baoyu said, "A place that holds imperial favor should be praised as holy. How about titling it The Phoenix's Arrival in Splendor?" Everyone cheered, and Jia Zheng then asked Baoyu to come up with a couplet. Baoyu casually said, "The jade-green smoke of the precious tripod's tea lingers. The coolness lingers as the chess game ends in the secluded window." Jia Zheng nodded, but said, "It's not much better than others." As everyone continued walking and talking, they passed by a green mountain and saw a wall covered with straw and yellow mud in the distance. Along the wall were hundreds of apricot trees and a few acres of vegetable fields. Jia Zheng said, "Although this place is man-made, it still has some charm, making me feel the urge to return to farming. Please write a few words." Someone suggested Apricot Blossom Village, But Jia Zheng thought that although these 3 words were good, they clashed with the existing apricot blossom village. Everyone fell into contemplation again. At this moment, Baoyu couldn't help but speak up and said directly, "Ancient poet once said red apricot blossoms hold wine flags at their tips. Why not name it Apricot Curtain in Sight?" Everyone agreed. What a brilliant suggestion. It also hints at the meaning of Apricot Blossom Village. Baoyu continued, "Apricot blossom sounds a bit crude." Another poem says, "Beside the firewood door, the fragrance of rice flowers next to the water." Why not use Rice Fragrance Village? The crowd clapped and cheered, but Jia Zheng loudly scolded, "Ignorant beast! Just knowing a few ancient people, remembering a few old poems, and showing off in front of the old gentleman. Just now I was just testing you and making fun of you, and you took it seriously." Later, everyone arrived at the Maodang, where there were paper windows and wooden couches, presenting a simple scene. Jia Zheng asked Baoyu, "How is it here?" Baoyu, ignoring the advice of others, loudly said, "It is much worse than the phoenix comes in splendor." Jia Zheng scolded him, "Ignorant fool, you only know about grand and luxurious buildings and do not appreciate the beauty of simplicity and nature. You are truly without learning." Baoyu hurriedly said, "Fatherly advice is correct, but when the ancients mention nature, I do not understand its meaning." Others, afraid that Baoyu would anger Jia Zheng, quickly answered, "Why suddenly ask about nature? Nature implies that it is natural and not man-made." However, Baoyu argued, "This estate is clearly man-made. The ancients mentioned natural landscapes to caution against forcing the creation of landscapes. Even if they are intricate, they are ultimately not suitable." Before Baoyu could finish speaking, Jia Zheng angrily shouted, "Get out." Just as Baoyu was leaving, he heard Jia Zheng say, "Come back. Write another couplet. If it is not good, I will hit your mouth." Baoyu trembled. Fresh spring water moistens the place where clothes are washed, the imperial concubine's protection and favor to the Jia family. Luckily, this time Jia Zheng was somewhat satisfied. Afterwards, Jia Zheng continued to lead everyone on the tour. Every stop they made, Baoyu would always have something extraordinary to say, earning praise from everyone. Although Jia Zheng still scolded him loudly, he was actually very happy in his heart. As time was almost up, Jia Zheng suddenly yelled at Baoyu, "Why aren't you leaving yet? Grandma is worrying about you. Haven't you had enough fun?" Baoyu quickly retreated. The servants outside the courtyard knew that Baoyu had made a name for himself, so they all gathered around to ask for rewards and soon took away the purse and other items Baoyu was wearing. After seeing Granny Jia, Baoyu returned to the Jinyun pavilion. Shirin brought tea over, and when she saw that Baoyu had nothing on him, she asked, "Did those shameless people take everything away from you?" Before Baoyu could reply, Dayu came in and saw that Baoyu really had nothing on him. She asked, "What about the purse I made for you? Did you give it to them too? Don't ever think about taking my things again." With that, she angrily returned to her room and cut the sachet she had promised to make for Baoyu. Baoyu followed her, saw that the sachet was torn, and directly untied the purse from his neckline and handed it to Dayu, saying, "Look, what is this? This is yours. When did I ever give your things to someone else?" Seeing how much Baoyu cherished the gift she had given him, Dayu immediately regretted her impulsiveness. Baoyu then said, "You don't have to cut it. I know you are not willing to give me things. I will return this purse to you." With that, he threw the purse into Dayu's arms. Now Dayu was both angry and anxious, and she picked up the purse to cut it. Baoyu quickly protected it and said with a smile, "Please spare it, dear sister." Dayu threw the scissors in frustration, got into bed, and cried with her face turned towards the inside. Baoyu hurriedly tried to apologize beside her. Dayu was overwhelmed and angrily said, "Are you trying to make me feel uneasy? Then I will leave." Baoyu quickly approached her with a smile and said, "Wherever you go, I will follow." As he said this, he put on his purse. Baoyu reached out to grab it, complaining, "You said you didn't want it before, and now you're wearing it again. I'm getting embarrassed for you." After saying that, she couldn't help but burst into a laugh.